This is Salty Believer Unscripted. I'm Bryan Catherman. My co-host on Zoom is Josiah Walker, and this is a conversation about the Christian journey. Joe, what's going on out in Salt Lake?
Hey man, it's a great time. God is on the move. We had a baptism on Sunday.
Woo-hoo.
And just awesome things are happening here. So I love to see real life transformation in our church, and that was exciting. That
is super awesome. Things are going pretty well here where I'm at in Nebraska, and we are continuing in our series, Equipping the Next Generation, or Equipping Beyond Us. And I want to talk about how do I do one-on-one discipleship with somebody of the next generation younger than me or two generations younger than me. And truth be told, I think a lot of this will still resonate with just how to do one-on-one discipleship with somebody that's a peer or even older than you. But I want to put our focus on raising up that next generation, which might even be helpful for our children. So let's make sure we hit that too. But first, we need an unsolicited shout out. They pay us nothing for this. There's no monetization, but we just want to share something that we like. It's a commercial we don't get paid for. Joe, what you got?
Yeah, our unsponsored ad today on Salty Believer Unscripted comes to you from Tabletalk Magazine.
Yes.
Tabletalk Magazine is a helpful resource put out by our Presbyterian brothers and sisters. It includes monthly themed articles, Ligonier Ministries. Yeah, but it's a good, helpful, little small magazine that you can get that has themed articles that really speak to scripture, theology, the Christian journey. There's daily Bible studies in there, along with some just year-round biblical encouragement. And you can get that in print or get digital access. I think a one-year subscription is about $30 and totally worth it. Lots of great resources in there.
So Ligonier would be the ministry to look for. Is it tabletalk.org gets you to that?
Tabletalkmagazine.com. Tabletalkmagazine.com.
There you go. Easy daily devotional, extra material, high level stuff, good quality. And by the way, we just added a commercial for no other reason than we like it. So we want to give a little shout out to it. It's
Salty Believer recommends.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Okay. Maybe you were holding a spot for when people want us to put something there, but we only want to put stuff there we like and truly endorse. So, and we don't.
If we do, it has to be unsponsored.
It's unsponsored. So. Yeah, we're totally unpaid. So there's a lot of uns here: unpaid, unsolicited, unsponsored. They're unaware that we're even doing this for them, and they don't listen to the podcast. So there you go. Okay.
And if we keep going like this, our listeners are going to be uninterested. So let's keep moving along.
Okay, equipping the next generation. Lots of ways to do this. We want to start with one-on-one discipleship. That's the target that I want to hit, Joe. I just want us to first of all, do you do one-on-one discipleship? Are you in any kind of one-on-one discipleship relationships at all? Formal or informal, absolutely. Which I think we should talk about the difference between formal and informal, but what you got that's formal?
Yeah, absolutely. I do some formal one-on-one discipleship with a young brother who's looking at pastoral ministry and want to maybe examine what it looks like to join the church full time and become a pastor or an elder one day. So we meet every week kind of formally and really talk through what that looks like and kind of give him a glimpse behind the curtain, let him know what he's kind of getting himself in for and really look at that.
And that's a formal aspect. That's a formal, meaning like you have a set up time, you meet regularly, you have you kind of have an agenda you're getting after when you do that.
Yeah.
Do you have, before I go there, I have 3 formal discipleship meetings that are set up regular. I do a lot more informal discipleship, so we'll come back to talk about each of these. Do you have any kind of informal people that you're discipling informally? And we can probably a lot of people, but let's talk about that for a minute. What kinds of things are you doing that help fuel into informal discipleship?
That's hard for me to answer because I'm so structured. I mean, I still carry a paper planner, so everything feels a little formal to me. So when you're saying informal, what does that look like?
Okay, so discipleship comes from lots of things. Discipleship is being disciplined and trained in the way of the Lord. You can go to like Romans 12:1, that your mind is being conformed not to the world, but to the way of God and all kinds of things. It's our worship. And so informal discipleship are all these things that subtly are modeling for us, they're teaching for us, and most of the time we don't know it. So most of us are informally discipled by all the crap we watch on social media. And we're informally discipled by all the drama we hear from our friends and all the water cooler chat. But if you also have an aspect of informal discipleship that can come at you, it can be the preaching, sitting under the preached word week by week by week is a form of informal discipleship. So I'm very aware of that. I try to preach in such a way that helps people learn how to study the Bible for themselves, to see connections, to work through this. I think through that in my preaching quite a bit. So I would say like I'm doing that, and you're doing that on an ongoing, regular basis. But then also it's the way that you're living your life. Again, last episode we talked about 2 Timothy 4, but Paul tells Timothy, live in such a way that you're setting a pattern for others to follow. Watch how you speak, watch how you live, let them see your progress. That modeling is an informal discipleship. People go, wow, I think I want to do something like that. Also, just some of the meetings you have with people on a regular basis, the phone calls you have with people, the friendship connections you have, just a way that people can see how you're living and you're intentional about it to show them something, to guide them into something. Even this podcast has an aspect of this informal discipleship, hence the unsponsored advertisements is a sense of saying we want to point people to things that we think are good for your growth. So that's an informal method of discipleship. So let's go back to the formal. Yeah. You said you meet with a few guys, young people especially. That's the topic of our episode here. Tell me, let's just start with, what's the hardest thing about discipling with somebody a generation or two or three younger than you?
I think finding some common ground to connect on, maybe some interests, kind of those icebreaker things at the beginning of the conversation. You know, I was discipling with a young man the other day, and he rode over here on his Razor scooter and was showing me his Razor scooter. And I'm sitting there going, man, where are the rollerblades at? Let's break those out.
And did you show him your motorcycle? Oh, wait, it's like 20 degrees where you're at, right?
Not really motorcycle weather. But yeah, I mean, just kind of, connecting over different things. He plays video games that are very different from what I played as a teenager, right?
So I played Super Mario.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. What does he play? He doesn't play Super Mario?
No, I think it might be Fortnite or something. I don't know, man.
Okay, so how about...
I'm not up on this.
How about time? I've found that one of the challenges I have is time. Today as I'm wanting to disciple the younger men that I'm meeting with, there's a couple factors that are playing out. One, they've overtapped their schedules way more than when I was younger. We were busy, but man, these guys could get a PhD in busy. They have just filled their schedules with everything. And then at the same time, there's a sense that some of them will hold back and go, well, I don't know if there's a better option coming, so I'm not going to commit to anything. So you've got a super full schedule. You're uncommitted. Not everybody's this way, but this is the challenges that I run into. And then even the time when we meet, like, wait, your schedule is clearly way different than my schedule, right? Like, I like to sleep at these times, or...
Yeah, I feel like when I was looking at ministry or when I was a young adult, pastors work just 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I find myself, like, people want to meet with me at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, that's my bedtime.
Right.
Like, I don't know. That's not the Pastor Joe you see on Sunday mornings, man. That guy's asleep.
Yeah, I found that to be a little bit of a hurdle. I made a joke in the previous podcast about, do you go out to eat, or where do you do your formal discipleship? At church building? You go out and about? Sure. What's that look like?
I like being out in public just because other people see you with your Bibles open. That's not something that happens here in Salt Lake City very often. And so I like to go somewhere easy, McDonald's, maybe a coffee shop, something like that.
So when I was younger in ministry, the coffee shop thing was the hip, cool thing. Everybody was at the coffee shop. It's where you wanted to be. And now it seems like, with Uber Eats or with let's just go through the drive-through, it seems like life in those spaces is diminishing. In fact, I'm going to take a quick rabbit trail. I just saw this thing. It's really popular right now. It cracks me up that the young people, because the cost of coffee is so high, they've started this new trending thing where they're having coffee with their friends at home, and it's home coffee, and they're learning to make coffee drinks at home, and that's literally the new trend. I'm like, wait, you've just described my entire upbringing before Starbucks was invented.
Right. Sounds amazing.
Wait a minute. Anyway, but that becomes a hurdle. You said McDonald's. You got a young person who probably likes McDonald's, or is that convenient for you, or what's the reason for that?
Yeah, it's kind of a halfway point between the two of us. He's not a coffee drinker. Neither am I. And so it just is an easy, convenient location for us to meet.
You can get soda and fries instead of coffee, but you have a place to sit. You can pay your rent with the food. Okay. What other hurdles? Like, what is this young man that you're meeting with, or the other people? Well, actually, I'll go. I haven't. So the hurdle, besides some of these we've talked about that I run into, is some of the disciplines are a little different. When I was the age of some of the people that I'm discipling formally right now, the younger generation, and the same might be true of my kids, they've lived their entire world with access to phones, information coming at them all the time. So what I find that's really interesting to me is how often I'm sitting in a formal discipleship type setting and we're talking and we're spending time together, and the person I'm talking with is like doing, pulling the phone up constantly and checking. Bzz, bzz. And sometimes I find myself tempted to do that because that is a reality with these phones. However, they're not even tempted to think, maybe I shouldn't do this. It's like my life is so distracted. So it's really hard to really, the one-on-ones are a little bit of a challenge because the high level of constant distraction. None of this is a critique. What I want us to do is say, how do you overcome these things so that we can invest in this generation? Because I don't want to say the answer is they have to be like me. I want to figure out how to make these connections. So what are you doing to overcome some of these hurdles? Razor scooter comes out. Did you go out and check it out? Did you take a ride? How are you connecting?
I didn't want to end up in traction, but I did go out and look at it, and I think what people really want to know is that you care, showing genuine interest, that you care about them. This isn't just you checking a box to say that you did something today that was good for somebody else, but that you're actually invested in them and their success and who they are, and just really showing that you care.
That's really cool. Okay, so what are you doing in these? Let's talk through some resources. So someone's listening and they go, I probably should reach out. How'd you get this started? How did these things come about? Or did they come to you? Did you go to them? What happened?
Right. It just depends on who I'm meeting with or what the situation is. Sometimes a parent will say, hey, can you come and really work with my son? He needs some help. His dad's not in the picture, that kind of thing. Or somebody it's maybe wanting to be, they're interested in ministry, or they're just a new believer. They're wanting to grow in their faith. And as a pastor, I'm kind of seeking some of those people out. And as a mature Christian, we should be seeking people out in the church like, hey, so-and-so's new. They just recently got baptized. I need to help them, get them plugged into a Bible study or into some discipleship.
So, some came to you, but you went after some. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What does it look like when you go after them? So someone's listening like, okay, I want to get this going. What does that look like for you?
Well, if you say, hey, I really think we should, you should be discipled. I just really feel like I need to disciple you. I think that's going to scare them away. And so just keeping it simple. Fair. Hey, would you want to grab some coffee sometime or read a Bible? I checked out this new thing. People are brewing coffee at home. Do you want to come over to my house and have some coffee?
I just so happen to have a coffee pot at my house.
I just bought one. But no, just keeping it simple and saying, hey, I'd love to get together and just open the Bible, get to know you more. And sometimes just not even saying, hey, let's open the Bible, but just say, hey, I noticed you're new to the church. Saw you got baptized a couple of weeks ago. I'd love to just get to know you and hear more of your story. Can we grab coffee? And then in that first meeting, say, hey, this was great. You're a new believer. Would you want to go through a book of the Bible together? Like when I got saved, I didn't know, I had never read the Bible, and I'd love to just kind of help you and answer any questions you have. And that kind of helps ease them into it without scaring them away. Start
with hey, just get to know you, then move to, hey, in more of a formal sense. I have some of the informal discipleship that I have, it's, hey, we just get together and this is nice, but I have to be very intentional about the things. And usually I'm trying to be intentional about how's life, how you're doing in your new marriage, how you, whatever. But in some formal sense, it's, hey, we're going to do X. Here's the strategy. Here's the plan. it's not a one-on-one. It's two people, but I have a group, and this is our strategy. We're going to learn how to do X. We're going to work through this. We're going to meet here. This is the format. And they go, okay, great. I know what I'm getting into. I invited them into that. Hey, you said you wanted this for your life. Now, that is a small group, but you could do that with one-on-one. If I only had one of them, it could have been one. Hey, you said you wanted to do this. Let's meet every Wednesday, such and such time, do this thing. This is a structure. So there's ways to do that. But I like that you sort of ease into it. I've had a couple where I've just sent a text that said, hey man, I'm paying attention to what you're doing. I see that you're serving. I see that you have a heart for Jesus. I'd love to help you. Would you be interested in meeting and talking about blank? And sometimes they go,
sure.
Well, yeah, or well, no. And then we work out times and factors like that. Sometimes I just call it out. Like, I see you. I see how you're doing. You're doing good. I'd love to walk along with you more. Are you interested? Most the young people, especially the men, I don't disciple one-on-one with women except for my daughter and my wife, but
sure,
hey, I'm willing, are you willing? And they usually say, somebody took an interest in me. Yes.
Well, yeah. And sometimes it's daunting to ask somebody, or you don't even know who to ask. I would rather reach out to somebody and have them tell me no than to get told no by somebody. I remember a season of my marriage where my wife and I, we were just struggling, and we were on the brink of getting a divorce. And we went to a pastoral couple in the church who were kind of counselors at the church and said, "Hey, we're struggling. Will you disciple us?" And they said, "No." I said, "I don't have time for you."
That's a good
And I just felt so defeated in that moment. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so it's a lot better if we reach out to them rather than just expecting they're going to come and knock on our door and reach out to us.
I think that's good. Okay, so in the time that we have, for somebody who's like, man, okay, I don't know what to do, let's talk through the things you could do in a formal discipleship one-on-one. I just want to start with the most obvious. There's lots of resources out there. I want us to talk about it, but let's start with the most obvious.
Yeah.
Study through a book of the Bible, right? Like,
absolutely.
We both have. You have bookmarks at your church. We have at our church, OIA method, something, right?
Here's why that's great. One, it's God's word. You can't beat that. That's the standard. Two, let's say that person has an issue. They get called into a meeting at work. They can't meet up with you. They get stuck in traffic. You still have your Bible, and you can still do a Bible study and be edified if you end up by yourself.
Amen. I guess I'll do my Bible reading today. And also, that's going to be the most powerful thing that they could be going through. Now, there are a lot of people who go, okay, I'm reading my Bible. That's maybe a lot. Or maybe, hey, I need some help with some other resources.
Sure.
Let's go through some resources we like. Like you start. What's a resource you love?
Well, before we even dive into those, I just want to start with the Life Connection Study Bible.
Oh, nice.
We've talked about this before. It's put out by Holman. And what I love about this is it has questions for every pericope that has an icebreaker question, kind of a conversation starter, and some things to consider on that passage. So if you don't know how to kind of lead a Bible study, this is a great cheat sheet and just getting going on something like that.
I just recommended that to somebody who's doing kind of a small group suggestion. And you said every pericope. I'm going to clarify every chapter. But
that's
some chapters have multiple pericopes, and they'll be, but not every single chapter. Yeah. Sometimes you get at least a chapter. Sometimes it breaks into 2 or 3 different parts. But it also has 60 life lessons or 60 things you can go through that are just true to life. And so what you do is you go to those pages and you go, oh, here's a topic. It's how do I deal with stress? And then there's like a beginner and an advanced. You could do both of them. And you go to the scriptures, you go to the discussion things that they have, and you have an instant Bible study ready to go. Yeah. So that thing is a great resource.
Easy.
For one-on-one or small groups for sure. Great resource. Good call out. I agree wholeheartedly, completely. New believer. What do you do with a new believer?
Yeah. With a new believer, the biggest thing is helping them learn what the things that they don't know. I had a new believer who got saved, got baptized, and went, I think I'm called to ministry. I was like, well, let's work through that first. Let's talk about the theology and the foundations of our beliefs. So that's when you turn to a good resource like Wayne Grudem's Christian Beliefs, 20 Basics Every Christian Should Know, or John Stott's Basic Christianity.
Yeah, are you going through both of those?
I've been going through Wayne Grudem's with somebody, and then I'm just reading John Stott's on my own. Even as a pastor, I love really easy layman type books that just help me sharpen the saw with my own theology.
Hold that Grudem book up right in front of your face because you're holding it up to the side, but it's not making it on the camera. There you go. Check that out. Okay. You got Grudem and then John Stott, Basic Christianity. I really like, and I've done a video on the Salty Believer channel on YouTube and on the website, SaltyBeliever.com. I like The Disciplines of a Godly Man by Kent Hughes. 19 chapters, easy chapters to read for the most part. There it is. Good conversational pieces. It has a little stuff at the end of each chapter you can kind of work at. Here's some reflection, some food for thought. Really good stuff for men. And then you turned me on to the godly Disciplines for the Godly Young Man. Hold that up a little. Hold that. Go up a little higher. Yeah, there we go.
When it's in front of my face, I can't see what I'm doing.
That's perfect.
Disciplines of a Godly Young Man. I love this book because it is a punchier version of this book. And I'm going through this with an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. And there's one chapter here. The first chapter in the adult book is broken down into 2 chapters in this book. And so it's just really digestible for a teenager who's, really consumed with video games and maybe only wants to read 3 or 4 pages a week. I can get a teenager to read a couple pages of this book.
You got both books in front of you, and we're on Zoom, so I don't have that little book in front of me. How many pages is Disciplines of a Godly Man? It's like 200 something, right?
Yeah.
Give or take. Ballpark it.
Before the index and the resources and the study guide, it's about 280 pages.
How many pages is the Disciplines of a Godly Young Man?
169.
Okay, so you see right there, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, other resources you use when you get together, like what do you do for somebody who thinks you're called to ministry? Do you have any? I go to like Is God Calling Me? Let's walk through Is God by Jeff Orch. Do you use that one?
Is God Calling Me is a great book. That's a good first book for someone who says, hey, I think I'm called to ministry. I start them off with that book. Okay, what does that look like? And then I just recently this year went through Bobby Jameson's The Path to Becoming a Pastor.
Oh, nice.
With a young man. And that really talked about kind of the pitfalls and the dangers of pastoral ministry and just some things to consider. Another one that's really great is Paul Tripp's Dangerous Calling.
Oh, that's a good one too. Oh, okay. So back to some discipleship stuff. Do you use any of those 9 Marks Healthy Church books? I love those little books. They're like 100-ish, 115 pages. We've talked about them on podcasts in the past. They're little, they're colorful. Do you ever go to so we have a guy who's like discipling people and he's interested in missions. Well, let's read the missions book. Hey, how do we understand conversion? Like, let's pick this book up and talk about it. Do you use those at all?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at elders here at the church. We believe in a plurality of elders. So I'm looking to raise up lay elders here in the church. So we've been going through the elder book, the Brown Elder book from the 9 Mark series. Also here at our church, we wanted to find a great free resource for new believers or visitors. And I didn't want to put together a Redeeming Life mug that's just going to end up at a thrift store. So we actually give out Greg Gilbert's What is the Gospel book.
Oh, that's a good one, man. It's black,
and it's so helpful here. It's a black little book.
It's the black
easy
9 Marks
read.
one. Yeah, it's so good.
And here in Utah, the gospel can really get convoluted, and people don't have a right understanding of what the gospel is. So
Joe,
I think I've given more of those.
I got a news flash for you. It could get convoluted everywhere. Here in Nebraska, the gospel can get really convoluted. What do? You've been giving them out? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I just, because it gets convoluted, I've given just as many out to our regular members and attenders as I have our visitors, because they need that refresher and they need to know what the gospel's about. So a helpful resource there.
Okay, man, we are out of time, but here's what I want to do. I want to challenge our listeners, those who are watching, which I don't even know if we have very many people watching or listening, but praise the Lord for those we do. I want to hear from them. I want to hear from you. So SaltyBeliever@gmail.com. You can email me. Let me know what you use, what's helpful. Maybe we'll bring that up in the next one because we're going to go into small groups and things. Or leave a comment in the comments of the videos if you're watching the videos. Or go to SaltyBeliever.com. Use the communication forum page. Send us some information because you know what? We're both busy pastors doing our thing. We don't have time to read. Well, I want to hear what you have found to be really helpful. I think what I'd like to do, I'd really like to get a lady on here to talk about how she does discipleship or what are some really valuable devotional things, discipleship things for her, but I got to coax her on, and I have the lady in mind. She just has to be willing. I'm gonna be in trouble.
If you're listening to this, you should come on.
Yeah,
I think it'd be great.
I'm on dangerous ground here. I might not get dinner for a while if I'm not careful, but I think it'd be really helpful. Joe, this has been helpful, but let's wrap this thing up with a word from the Lord, and then we'll catch people on the other end next time.
All right. 1 Timothy 4, verse 8 says, "For the training of the body has limited benefit, but godliness is beneficial in every way, since it holds promise for me for the present life and also for the life to come. The saying is trustworthy and deserves full acceptance."
Thanks for listening. Find more resources at SaltyBeliever.com.